Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. Loot Crate is a subscription box service with more than $40 worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, etc. delivered to your mailbox every month. This month, they're bringing you to a fight of the ages. Suit up, choose your allies, and enter the arena for combat. They're ready to stand their ground this month with exclusive items from Blizzard, Fallout 4, Capcom, sponsor-worthy loot from the Hunger Games, as well as a few more items that will help their winners emerge victorious. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it, Jack! It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today.
It reminds me of the days when my brother would just randomly show me his ball sack for no reason, which happened 2 weeks ago.
Those days never left. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the man who's seen his brother's ball sack more than Bulbasaur seen Charizard, Nick Scarpino.
Do they hang out in the same club? Bulbasaur? Maybe that's a question for Tim.
They're in the same ball.
They don't?
I heard Charizard's a full-blown racist and doesn't want to be around
Anybody else?
Bulbasaurs. Yeah.
Over there,
Fair enough.
the pure one, Tim Gettys.
Hello.
The pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you
good to be
today.
here with you as
Come back
well.
to me when you're done with your introductions. I have something to say.
Oh, okay, good. And over here, a young gentleman named Alex Aziz.
Hi.
You went to patreon.com/kindafunny, supported us at the level to come on this show. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll never be able to repay you,
Okay.
except by having you on this show.
I'm good with that.
Tim, is this one going to be worth $1?
Oh, this one's going to be goddamn.
We will
worth
literally
$1.
never be able to repay you.
This one's going to be
All
worth
sales are
$100.
No refunds.
All sales are final.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you can't get out of it.
I have two things to say before we get going. Non sequiturs.
Sure.
The first thing is that last week on the podcast,
Yeah.
I blamed Tim for bringing up Star Wars in a conversation. Got mad at him for it, but I brought it up. Now, the intention behind what I was saying at the time was that he had reiterated what we were talking about with Star Wars, and then I was saying, well, that's actually a bad example for you to bring up. But I had brought it up, and it made it seem like I was yelling at Tim
Yeah.
for something he didn't do. So I want to apologize to Tim about that. I saved that all day for Tim. I wanted to apologize to him earlier, but I wanted everyone to know that.
So you just let it fester for a week.
Yeah.
Tim's walking around this
Because I took the hit. I knew I was right.
No,
on
you did
that.
take the hit. You're
But
right.
I was like,
you did take the hit. You're right, and I'm
Because
sorry.
I didn't want to turn it into the.
I'm
Like, you didn't say it, I
I'm
didn't say
extremely
it.
sorry. It was a brain fart on my
it's
part.
fine.
I wasn't eloquent. I wanted everyone to know because I was reading the comments and I hear you. You're right. You're right.
Hashtag you're right.
The second thing I wanted to say is that I was talking on the podcast last week about
Vampire Strike.
yeah. Oh god, we haven't done a Vampire Strike in a long time. Old podcast Beyond reference. I was talking last week about someone in this industry telling me that this person wouldn't hire a person of a conservative slant. That person actually said to me that they wouldn't work for a person of a conservative slant, and for the sake of just clarity on that, even though
Did that person reach out and correct him? Okay. You just remembered it.
Oh, I was listening to the show, and I'm like, I don't think actually, like, I think
you
I was
didn't express it correctly.
right, exactly. Like, so I just want to make sure that the record's clear on that as well. Well, because it's important. Accuracy is important. Yeah.
Still, though, little extreme.
No, very, very extreme, extremely outrageous,
Extremely extreme, some would say.
But I want to be accurate with what I was saying.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. I'm not going to say anything else for the rest of the show.
Sure, great.
Tell
So,
us,
Alex,
Yeah.
tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
My favorite of the
Hill.
Carolinas.
Yeah, it
Based
is
on
the better
nothing.
one.
North
It is the better
Carolina,
one.
raise up. Take your shirt off.
No.
Spin it around your head like a helicopter.
That guy is actually in jail now.
good. I can't.
25 to life for murder.
I don't.
Petey
The
Pablo.
song wasn't that good.
Petey
but-
Pablo.
Oh, I remember.
whenever someone mentions North Carolina, I usually say that, and most people don't get it. So I'm glad you were right there with me.
Yeah,
That's why we get along. That's why we're best friends.
I was there for that.
He
I was
there
in.
for that.
I
He
was
lived through it. Did you live through the
Oh
Petey
my God.
Pablo
I didn't.
era?
I was in
No.
Nick.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now.
I was in
some
elementary
weird
school
Midwest
when that
shit.
happened.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
How old are you?
23.
Good God damn it.
Yes. Yes. Well, I was in elementary school when that happened. It was nonstop.
Yeah, must have been quite the event.
It was exciting.
All the
because no one
elementary
ever
school
talks about
kids
North Carolina.
taking their shirts off,
Yeah,
swinging
well,
them around.
it was one of those things. It was a rap song at the time. Rap was in an interesting place.
Yeah,
with
it was.
with a lot of things happening. It was one of the few songs that literally had no words except for that,
Yeah.
and kids could yell them and not get in trouble.
Sure.
So we listen to it a lot.
That's
Gotcha.
good.
Yeah.
What was another PD Pablo classic?
He,
Freak Leak? Was that him? I think he did.
I'm
Freak
trying
Leak.
to. No, that's Ja Rule.
No.
I'm the one
Oh.
I'm thinking of. He had
Pretty
one,
sure it's Freak Leak.
He had one that was on one of the Now CDs. You remember those?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
now that's what I call music.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember them. They're still making them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
they're
aware.
I think
aware.
they're about to come up on Now
See,
69.
that's my gauge of age. I remember the infomercial,
Oh,
the first
yeah.
one, when it was 1, and now I
You
go on
remember
iTunes.
1?
I remember 1.
Ooh,
I
don't.
definitely lived through one. I don't know if I remember it.
See, again, infomercial on Nickelodeon.
Mm.
All I watched was Nickelodeon
Yeah.
at the time. I remember all the Nows all the way up until right now when I go on iTunes and see Now 450. And I'm like,
Yeah.
The fact they're still doing them now doesn't make any sense. Just buy the songs you
we're
want.
saying Now too much.
No, they can deal with it.
Well,
at home.
that's what I call music.
I also say sure too much.
Sure,
No, you
sure,
don't.
sure.
Yeah, I do.
We
He's
all
good.
have our.
one of your-
I
it's one of
talked
your
to someone about this
promises.
on our NeoGaf thread because they point out these little parlances, right? And I'm like, you should try to talk for a living for 20 hours, and I'll listen to it, and then we'll see, I'll pick out everything that you say over and over again. It's hard. It's difficult.
Someone made a bingo.
we are not professional.
a bingo page for us. You
We're
see that?
pretty professional-ish.
Well, I'm not.
You
You've
guys
been on
are.
your phone this entire fucking time.
I text one thing to Kevin.
I know, and he
And
texted
it
back.
took like 5 minutes.
I do
Kevin
want to have.
just went
I
like
do
this.
want to have a
Fight,
rule moving
fight.
forward
Oh.
because the phone use is getting a little out of control. We're all guilty of it. So, yeah. All right. So,
I know you are. I know many are. Greg Miller's not.
no, you're probably maybe actually the worst of all of us.
Bullshit in a
But
half.
but
Nick's at this table.
Tom Hawkins, you're welcome to go through the last 3 episodes and compile.
Tom Hawkins is not your
Shout out to Tom
slave.
Hawkins.
He
He
is now. But I was thinking about when
Great guy.
when some friends get together. I've been in groups of friends where we all put our cell phones in the middle of the table or just ignore them or whatever.
Yeah.
We should have something to have a reach to the outside world, like your iPad, if we have a question. Otherwise, we should put all our phones.
The only
on.
issue-
I don't even have my phone on me right now.
The issue comes down is the fact that, of course, Kevin is stupid and won't get on
Right.
iMessage. So I know that 9% of the messages Nick Scarpino gets is Kevin saying, move closer to the mic. Then they start sending GIFs, and then they're talking about.
Yeah, I think
whatever
Kevin's
the
a
hell they
massive
talk about.
distraction on the show, and we all know it.
He's a
So
he's a
him not
glorious
having
distraction, though. He's like a Zeppelin. You just kind of stare at it for a while.
Are you
You don't really know
saying-
what it's up there for. You don't know what it's doing. It's kind of
What do
antiquated
you-
technology at this point, but it's beautiful.
Kevin, you have German roots, right?
Prove it. He's by way of
Probably.
what?
He says probably all the
Well,
time.
we were talking about this. This is not a secret. Yeah. Okay.
Why would it be a secret?
Some people might be ashamed of being German.
Wow, Kevin, are you ashamed of being German?
Oh.
Just
I
as
brought it up
FYI,
because you brought
that
the
has to come
Zeppelin
faster.
and
Yeah, no, I feel it. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
What are we even doing on this show?
I don't know anymore.
We're talking-
Greg's
I wanna
berating me
drink.
for using my phone.
So,
I feel like he's
Alex,
phone
you brought
shaming
this.
me.
What is this? Bone
Bourbon.
shaming?
Phone
I
shaming
went
me.
to a store I found last time I was here in San Francisco.
Which one is it?
I think it was called Cask.
We know Cask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Told
Yeah.
the guys it's their 100th episode. Give me something good. And
Thank you. It is the
they
100th
came
episode.
up. They came up with that, and I had to give them a little direction. You know, I like Eagle Rare makers and Woodford, so that's what they went on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you
Good.
very much.
So you like some weeded bourbons?
Yeah.
Well, Makers is weeded. Greg.
Yeah.
E.H. Taylor, good stuff. What does the H stand for?
The H?
The E.H.
Oh, and his name?
Mm-hmm.
Ernest
Mhm.
Hemingway.
Nope.
A lot of people didn't know before he blew his brains out, started a lucrative bourbon business.
True story.
Edmund Haynes.
No,
I
I,
like
think you're
Greg's
wrong.
story better, yeah.
If only we could all use our phones to check, but we can't.
I'm staring at mine right
This
now.
new age.
The thing
It's
is-
Roast's 100th episode.
The thing
Might
is,
as well
Colin
be
Moriarty
right away.
Supreme.
I might believe that about Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
That dude was nuts.
Oh, he drank a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
had
think
some-
if you just twist, bro, it'll come off.
I don't want this. I'm going to have to take this off later anyway because it's going to bother me. So.
Who am
Understandable.
I talking to?
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Like Alex did. Throw us a few bucks and you get every episode early. You don't like that? No big deal. Wait until the next week. Day by day, topic by topic, youtube.com/kindafunny. We post the show for your amusement before we put the entire thing up as one big MP3 and one big video. I will literally murder you if you did that. If you were to put your hand in my water, I'd
It's so
fucking...
big. The opening to your
What do
cup
you
is
mean?
so big.
Do you see how much I drink though? Like I
my
need
arm
it.
in that thing.
I'm really
Work it out a
happy
little
that you
bit.
hit the table at the right time.
course.
I think you're the first person, the first guest to hit it.
Some
I've
people
watched
get
the
in here-
show about 99 times.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good.
I like this kid.
Yeah, because usually the kids, they miss it like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was preparing
They
for
get
it.
caught up. They start listening. They think they're just here to listen to the show.
Yeah.
We bring you in and put you to work, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's episode 100.
Yes, it is.
We're all feeling very good. Your bourbon will make us feel better.
Which is 100
Hopefully.
proof.
Good job.
Is
You're winning a lot of points with Colin over there. No, act like
It
you
is.
knew. Act
It
like you
is.
knew. Act like you knew.
I thought it was higher.
I'm fascinated by Colin right now. Colin is the most fascinating human being on this planet to me. He's got these lovely nuances. One of which is he is going to spend the next 2 hours scraping.
Yeah, do we eat the
The
drink it or
label
you
off
just
of
that
that.
worried? You can work it out through the show, get the plastic
Or
off
just,
of it.
rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, no, I'll do that later.
5 minutes.
Have Kevin do it.
Good.
You
Yeah.
get it back in a different bottle.
Want to smell? You want to smell?
I'm good.
No, you're
All
all
right,
right.
I want to.
I know you
Smell it when I drink it.
You gotta get that bouquet.
Alex,
Yes.
what topic did you bring us today?
So, 100th episode. Figured we all might be feeling a little nostalgic.
Mm-hmm,
And so, why don't we talk about nostalgia as an emotion?
Ooh.
Very
Oh.
interesting one.
My favorite emotion.
Can be very good, very bad at other times, I thought it'd be fun to discuss some experiences, what makes you nostalgic, and how you deal with it.
Okay. I want you to start with the bad nostalgia. What's the bad nostalgia?
The bad nostalgia. So, I just graduated from college.
Sure.
Having
You're
a
a
lot
young
of
buck.
it recently when I realized there's parts of my life that are gone forever. And as much as I enjoyed them and I'm glad they're done,
Nick smelled the bourbon.
Sorry about that, Alex.
You know what? Just go back to checking your phone.
there's a little bit of hurt there, realizing that you'll never be back to that point.
Oh,
in your
sure.
life,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and when you are going through changes in life, like graduating, I recently moved to a new city. I moved to Austin from North Carolina.
Definitely step up.
Good move.
It is, but I know no one there.
Oh, okay.
I leap of faith.
Sure.
I'm meeting people there, and that's all good. But I left all my friends. One of my best friends, who I've known since we were in the first grade. Yep. A little bit of remembering those kind of things. It hurts a little bit, but it's also a good thing.
Sure.
So those are the kind of feelings I'm talking.
So you're like bittersweet.
Very much so.
Not
That's
bad.
not. Sometimes
Pangs,
it's bad. Sometimes it's
heartstrings.
bad. Sometimes
see.
it is bad when you realize there's some things like, interestingly enough, listening to old episodes of Podcast Beyond, it's like I remember exactly. I was in the Clock Tower Lounge at UNCW, pretending to do homework while really listening to Beyond,
Yeah.
and like, oh man, I wish I was that kid again.
See, okay, so first off, cheers to 100 episodes.
Yes, cheers.
Yeah.
Your visit, of course.
Yeah.
There you go. You guys with your waters and your Starbucks cups. You disgust me.
That's good.
That is very good. Excellent.
Okay.
Saucy.
So I guess what's interesting for you is that you left college and then just blew it up immediately, right? So you're out of town. You're totally away from everything, which I guess happens to a lot of people. Because like I'm nostalgic and miss college every so often. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I'm an old fucking man compared to you. You know what I mean? Like when I left Mizzou, I stayed in Columbia for a year and a half, worked at the paper, was still around local establishments before I came out to IGN, which was my dream job. So it was like, I understand what you're saying. I see, but I still feel like saying it brings up bad feelings.
Well, see, here's the thing. College, at the end of it, I think all my friend group will agree with it. It overstayed its welcome.
Really?
Yes, we had our senior year was started out great, and then just spiraled. It much like
Did y'all get jobs and girlfriends? That's usually what gets you.
Yeah, it was a combination of things. There's some very personal stuff for other people, so I don't.
How many DUIs were in the group?
None.
Okay.
Thank God.
My guess is it's very close to my college, which was a lot of my friends started quickly getting married, which was weird. Did you ever have that?
During the
See, that
No,
was
I had like my friends like a
I will
year
touch
after
on
like,
it
I'm
briefly.
getting married.
So-
I'm like, oh shit.
There was a scare about this because one of our friends' girlfriends was so insane, and clearly it was a problem.
Mhm.
But it was looking like they were going to run away and get married. So that
Classic.
that was the thing.
Classic,
We all
your
kind of
friend.
had that one house we hung out in, which was right behind school, and I lived in one of the apartments on campus, and I was like walking distance, so I halfway lived there because living on
Yeah,
campus
naturally.
sucks. And I was there for all of it, and just watching the kind of spiral, and constantly all of us saying, like, we need to leave, we need to get out of here, it's over. it's gone bad, like abandoned ship.
Jesus.
Well, it did. You know, we all had some bad nights and had to face some problems about ourselves. You know, it was good for us, but was not pleasant.
Yeah.
We had to take our medicine and.
Man, yours was heavy.
Yeah.
My last year of college was like a victory lap.
Oh.
It's like, oh man,
No.
I only got 300 more days of drinking like this and being stupid.
They're like, right when I graduate, I'll never have another alcoholic beverage.
that was the problem too. It was like the minute we all realized like maybe we shouldn't do this anymore was we decided to do our usual, get drunk, play Rock Band.
Yeah,
That was our
nice.
staple. We had a projector in the living room.
Nice.
So it was, pretty epic. And then we played a couple songs. We kind of weren't feeling it. Someone says, let's watch a movie. Let's watch Requiem for a Dream.
Oof.
Jesus.
And at this point, I didn't have to be anywhere the next day. You know what I mean?
I was setting in for the ride.
I was like, sure, why not? And then, finished some beers, moved on to old fashions. As watching that movie, getting as drunk as they are, like their life is descending, it's just a very interesting experience of like looking at yourself while looking at them, and you just realizing I am too drunk for this. And then waking up the next day and being like, I gotta slow down.
Yeah.
I gotta change some shit.
Yeah. I cannot drink. And the hangover lasted for 3 days. So I realized I can't drink like that anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that sticks with you, though. I feel like that's kind of just the natural cycle of life, right? Where you experience something that's new, and then after 4 years of like burning it out as hard as humanly possible, you wake up one day and you have that epiphany. You're like, I'm becoming an adult. I don't necessarily need this experience, which has been great. But the more and more you try to chase that high, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, the more and more you're like, I think I might be wasting my life a little bit, and I think maybe it's time to move on. But that's just
Definitely.
life. But that does play in, and I hear you on when you start letting nostalgia sort of lead your actions, that's when it can become dangerous, right? When you start thinking to yourself, oh, those times were so great, let's go back and relive them. That's when you run the risk of looking back and seeing those times for almost through a more clear lens, where you're like, these were just the normal shenanigans of college students, and I'm beyond this. And because I see it all the time now, I live in the city in a fairly young area where a lot of college students, right when they graduate, they want to live because there's a lot of bars and a lot of partying happening. And I see that where I'm like, oh, I remember those days. And now I'm seeing these two people that moved in next door to me throw parties. And it just, seeing it from the outside in, we're like, remember when we all used to party at like Spence's house and we'd go crazy and like piss off the neighbors who just had a kid? I'm that neighbor now. And now I'm finally looking down and going like, that does not look fun. They just look like they're just a hot mess, and not in the good term. I guess there's a good way to use that term, but not really.
There's not really a good way.
They just look like a hot mess.
It's accurate how you're using it.
They look like they're on any number of substances, and I'm just like, God, you guys got to get some sleep, man. You're gonna be. And then the next day they're always hungover, and they do it again, and I'm like, you guys are just tearing your bodies apart with this stuff. It just does not look good.
Then they're like, did you see that guy next door just came back with more Taco Bell?
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I have no leg to stand on, but that's the thing. I mean, I think you do. I would love to go back to those days where I'm like, especially the days for me, I get nostalgic with the days when I first started IGN and met all you guys, and we all, not you, Tim, because you weren't born yet, but when I first started there, and the team was really small, and everyone was kind of new, and everyone was super energized about it, and I moved from Southern California to Northern California, so everything was brand new. And it was a huge chance that I took, not knowing if my coworkers or anyone was going to be friendly. It's similar to what you're experiencing right now. Like, you just don't know. And then I've met this awesome group of people that totally took me in, and we had a great time together. But there's no going back to that. Like, we're on to the next adventure now. And so if I tried to recreate that, I would just be a 35-year-old man at the comic club. Just
The comic club.
just creeping. Just creeping. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I haven't seen much change.
No,
That
it's
sounds
a
pretty
change
accurate.
in the mindset, right? It's
Okay,
like
the mindset, sure.
It's you go out
the
like you
creep, the
used to-
comic club, the you.
Oh, I'm always a creeper.
That's all there.
I'm always a creeper.
You're still going to the comic club?
No, but it's
I haven't been in the comic
it's
club in 7
3
years.
blocks
probably.
away from where I live, so it's
So he's
not
not
that
going,
far.
but he's also not going, you know?
I walk by every once in a while, and every once in a while, because it's the same bouncer that used to work there back in the day. He's a really nice guy, and every once he remembers me. So every once in a while, I'll stop and talk to him for a second. He's like, "You coming in?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not coming in today." And it's different people, but the same cast of characters that are
Definitely. That
drunkenly
place is
walking
fucking
up
weird.
and going, "I want to dance," and then he's like, "It's a $10 cover." They're like, "What for this place? That's fucked up." And then eventually they come back. It's a whole rigmarole, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the things that make me truly nostalgic are the things that from a way simpler and younger time in my life, which was the years probably 0 to 10, the 80s for me, the time when you're seeing so many different things happening culturally and you're becoming aware of those things, and those are the things I look back and think of very, very fondly, specifically given that Star Wars is coming back out and it's bringing up all, like, I purposely have I've had to come to terms with this thing that's happened in my brain where I'm like, I want to shut off from this because I don't know if I can I'm a little scared of the nostalgic emotion that it evokes a little bit.
Like when you teared up watching the trailer?
And then I watch the trailer and I'm like, no, it's still there.
That trailer.
All that defense that I've set up is just very much on the surface level. Everything below that is a kid hoping to God that this movie is as good as he remembers it, or hoping that it can evoke that feeling, that emotion in me that I had the first time seeing, like, the end of Jedi, where you're like, oh wow, this is it, and then you're like, there's no more. This is it. I got to go back and watch all 3 of them again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the Phantom Menace, which thank God for that. Really kind of just really did it for me. You know what I mean, Cole?
I love you waited for it.
It was building up. Metachlorians. I got to get them all out right away.
To me, what am I nostalgic about? I'm nostalgic about everything. And I am a deeply, deeply nostalgic person. This is something my family talk about, and why my people in my family think I have such a deep connection to history, because I just like old things and things that happened already, and like being in places where old things happen to me or to other people or wherever it is. So it could be a battlefield from the Revolution, or it could be like my grandfather's basement. But like, I'm gonna go down there and start tearing through old shit. Like I'm nostalgic for places and times I didn't even experience. That's why I think the Wonder Years is so powerful. Like, you're really a sucker for nostalgia when you're nostalgic for shit you didn't even experience.
It's shit that happened in the 70s.
Yeah,
5 years before you were born.
But like, my nostalgia runs deep. It's strange because it is me, so I guess it's not that strange because I'm a really strange person. But like, I just lay around sometimes and just there's a nostalgic switch that goes off in my head at night usually when I'm in bed, and I well up a little bit in my heart, like my and I'm just like, I miss these old times, and I'm not even sure why I miss anything I'm talking about. Like, I have weird nostalgic things happening to me all the time. I just like interacting with things that have already happened or things that are old. A story I've told my friends before is when I was dating this girl in college for several years, I went to see her family in Connecticut, and I went to her grandmother's house, and she had this bathroom that no one ever used. And I went in there and I could use the bathroom whenever, and I was going through all this old stuff, and there was like all this old like shampoo and conditioner and stuff from the 80s. And I was like, this is so. First, it was 2005. I remember it was the summer of 2005, and
It's a weird story.
Yeah, and I was like, and I'm like, this makes me nostalgic. This white rain bottle that's half used.
Yeah,
with 1987 on the back of it. I'm like, who used this, and where did this come from, and is it still good? And then I used it, and it wasn't really good anymore. I'm like, there's like just weird, like, I'm just like, so literally anything can set me off. Like anything that's old can set me off. My grandfather and my grandmother died, and we went through their house on Long Island to sell it, which was a mistake, since the market was weak at the time and very strong now. Whatever.
You're nostalgic for your bad real estate deals.
Well, it's fine. I mean, it's money, but I remember just going through, like, I was there for days. Like, I left college for like a week and was just there, like, going through tons and tons of shit, old notes between my grandma and grandpa, like just things. Like, I remember there was a whole shoebox. Remember, when you go to Catholic funerals, you get those cards. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a whole shoebox. Yeah, prayer cards. The whole shoebox full of them from the 50s and 60s and stuff. I'm like, this is just crazy nostalgic. Everything about it. Everything. I think back about my childhood. Of course, I mean, that's the most nostalgic thing about watching Ninja Turtles when it was on, when the episode was new. Yeah, I remember that. I was there. I remember, getting my first 311 album when it came out. I was there. It happened. I remember getting, when GameCube came out. It even, what's crazy that I realized about nostalgia is that it never stops. Like, now I look back at 2010, and I'm like, man, those were the days. But they really weren't. To your point, you didn't like your senior year. Junior and senior year at Northeastern were like the best days of my life.
I feel like I should jump in and say it wasn't that we didn't like it. It's just that shit hit the fan.
No, I understand that. Yeah, things were unfortunate. I had some bad experiences when I was a senior too, but I would kill to go back for one more day. You know what I mean? I would.
Oh, of course.
You will never get those days back. Kids in college or high school going to college, enjoy that fucking time. That's all I'm saying. One kid on the Facebook group yesterday was talking about how he likes this girl and he's 19 and all this, and I'm like, dude, like, you are not even getting started yet. You have no idea what's about to happen over the next year. So just
Enjoy it.
Soak it in. Because I wrote, I was like, I'm 31 now and I might as well be dead. And I got a bunch of thumbs up, of course, because it was funny. But I'm not even really being that facetious. I'm like, there comes a point in time where nostalgia is always gonna be better than what's ahead of you. It's like the grass is always greener.
Yeah,
kind
in
of
10 years, you're gonna look back to when we all worked out of this bedroom.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
And
we'll probably
that's
still be working out of this
Oh
bedroom.
no. I like the false nostalgia. I remember getting all sad leaving my college, the house I shared with, all my best friends or whatever. And I remember leaving and shutting the door and getting teared up and being like, I'm never going to live with my best friends again. And here I am, trapped in a fucking goddamn 20-year-old's life until we get out of San Francisco. Yeah. You know what I mean? For me, it's sights and it sounds and it smells and it's that. You know what I mean? Like this trip, I just came back from Nashville. And I got in a couple days early to go do Nashvilleian stuff that I wanted to do and didn't want to put on my friends or whatever. And so I finished dinner at this one point. I was going to go to the Bluebird, but I had time to kill. So I walked down to Vanderbilt's campus and was just walking around. And it's really huge campus, really wooded and not a lot of light. So there's a lot of nature. So we're going and I'm walking on this campus and I stopped and just stood there and listened. And I could hear crickets and bugs. And I was just like, I had forgotten that I had forgotten this stuff existed, so I didn't even know that I was missing it until I was there being nostalgic for it while I was in it. Of like, I'm gonna go back to San Francisco and I'm not gonna have that. And it was the same thing when we rented an Airbnb when my friends from Mizzou got there, which is another huge trip of nostalgia, being back with all your high school friends going to a football game, or college friends going to a college game. But I it was really hot in my room, so I left the window open in the morning. It was raining, and not like the fucking rain we get in San Francisco. That's just like constant mist and garbage, but like a normal rain shower everybody else takes for granted. And like hearing it hit trees and leaves and the grass and all the stuff. And like then we went out and we just sat on the porch that had like a ramshackled roof, and we were barbecuing and drinking and stuff, and it was hitting that and like the pitter patter of that, and just like I haven't heard this in forever because I'm not in a building where my room is the roof. You know what I mean? Like when you were growing up or whatever, when it was a different story or in college or something to that effect. It was just like, fuck. Like these are smells and sights and sounds. And it took me back as far as like 5th grade outdoor ed. You know what I mean? Like our first like real trip, like, all the kids got on, like your entire class got on and went up to, I don't even fucking remember, Wisconsin. And it was like a wooded area and it was raining the whole time. And that sight and that sound, it's like so cool.
Yeah. College is powerful in that way. I mean, I hadn't been back to Northeastern since when we went to PAX East this year is when I went back. And that was one of the most nostalgically powerful hour and a half I ever had before I met up with you guys, when I just went early and walked around, and everywhere I looked on that campus, there was a memory.
Yep.
A bench where I had a funny conversation with someone, or a stairs into a freshman dorm where a girl broke up with me, or and everywhere. And I was sending pictures to my Ramon and Chris, my close group of friends, and it was just so powerful. And I think that I never really talked about it with you guys, but we went to Connor's, which was one of our old bars that we used to go to, and I was so overwhelmed being there. I was like, I can't believe I'm back in this place.
Oh
again.
no, I know.
I walked out of this place and never came back, and it was nothing had changed at all.
Right.
Nothing had changed at all. It was incredible.
That last trip I took to Mizzou, where I was the keynote speaker at that high school conference, right? Like going back there with some, like I've been back to Mizzou a lot, and obviously just like you're saying, right? Like every time we're tailgating this spot, I think of these memories, or if I'm in Shakespeare's or this, that, or the other. But to go back then and be like invited into classes to speak and still feel like I'm a kid in those classes, but have to come in with that authoritative thing, that was crazy. And then the last trip I was there for, right, was the one where they had just announced that the original Shakespeare's that, from 1976 that I obviously was a part of or whatever for college, but it was my time, is being demolished. They're building a high rise. Shakespeare will be in the bottom floor. They're taking plank by plank. It'll look the same, I knew that was the last time that was going to be the Shakespeare's that I grew up with, or my Mizzou experience. And I'll never forget, I was over at the Tiger Hotel there, which was mind-blowing to stay in the Tiger Hotel because I always wanted to do that when I was there, and now it's super nice. But I was staying there and I went to bed, and I was getting picked up at 5 for this ride to the airport, and it was already midnight or whatever, and I sat there and I laid in bed for like 10 minutes and finally just got up, got dressed again, went down to the campus, sat on the columns, took photos of myself on the columns, took photos of the quad, and then went to Shakespeare's and got like my final beer at Shakespeare's. You know what I mean? Like everybody's there is just like chilling out. I'm like having such a like experience with my cup full of beer, my plastic cup full of Boulevard wheat, and I was like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
And this was kind of what I was shooting for, is it seemed like when we started talking, everyone was like, oh, what do you mean bad? But I think we've really drilled down to the point of like, this is where it is. It starts out, you remember things and they feel good, but it also, it hurts a little bit.
For me, it's different because I feel like nostalgia completely drives my entire life. Like I feel like it's probably the most
That's motivating.
important motivation in terms of emotions for me, specifically where everything I do, all my interests, like I haven't liked something new in like 15 years. Everything I like is just
Not true.
iterations on.
Fast
Look
and
from
Furious is
Kevin.
only like 7 years old.
No, it's like
way
15
older than
years
that.
old.
I remember seeing that in fucking high school, and we were like, "Oh, they're using Rhino's theme from fucking ECW in this," because we were getting laid left and right.
Yes. But yeah, no, things like that. Like Fast and Furious is actually a great example. Like I'm very nostalgic over that franchise, specifically back with like Tokyo Drift. Like I remember the group of, or even before that, Too Fast, Too Furious. Even before that, the first one. Like all
Never
those
forget
movies.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, exactly.
Never forget.
But I mean, I never will. Like
Try
going
to
to the
forget.
theater with the group of people that I went with at that time. Like those are the same people that to this day I'm like best friends with. And so it's funny because like I am different than you guys in that that stuff never left me. I never left it. Like it's all still there for me. The things that I'm nostalgic about, I'm nostalgic about Kevin. Like there's not a day that goes by where there's not something where that a conversation we have reminds me of conversations we've had, you know, or like when we go to Gordo's burrito taqueria to get burritos, like that is the place that I'm nostalgic over. So like the taste of that burrito, that is my childhood. That is all of that stuff. And a lot of it has to do with me not leaving San Francisco. But also recently I moved in with my best friend Curran, and we grew up playing Smash Bros. And the last couple weeks, maybe like 1 out of every 3 nights, we'll just come over to my room and be like, yo, a couple matches. And we just start playing, and I'm just like, it might as well be Smash 64, you know? And even more than that stuff, there's just like, you know, the movies that come out, like the Transformers movies, or the now there's a new Power Ranger movie that's coming out, or like all the things that would get me excited. Digimon is coming back as a sequel series to the originals that like I grew up with. It's like all that stuff is the things that make me excited, and for no reason really. Disneyland's a perfect example. Why do I love Disneyland? The entire thing is this fabricated experience to make you believe the most intense emotions possible of your memories of what you loved. You know, it's like, all right, let's take all those movies that you loved when you were a kid, play the music really loudly, and have fucking light shows and fireworks everywhere. Yeah. It's like, to me, sound, like you were saying, sounds and smells and all that stuff. That is really what kind of defines the emotions, is those memories and the places of being somewhere. But I think it's crazy that we have, like what Colin's talking about, we have nostalgia for places we've never been. You know, like Disneyland's an example of like, it brings you into these worlds that you never were in, but like you feel like you're part of it. You know, seeing the Star Wars trailers, hearing the music, it's like you feel like you're home.
Yeah, but you still have a touchstone to when you initially viewed those things, and I think that's the importance of nostalgia. That's why that emotion is so intense, was because it kind of reminds you that your life on this planet has an end date. You know, and that every time you look back, you're like, I'm actually really far away from my childhood, and those were very, very important years for me. And you relive them, but it's always bittersweet because you're like, I'll never get that time back. And part of me actually is just a little disappointed that I didn't fucking like just enjoy, like to Colin's point, like enjoy it while it was happening, because you're like, this is just my life.
I guess that's where I differ from you guys. That's what I'm saying, is like, I don't think it's so bitter. I feel like that stuff makes me happy, and it's like I feel like I get excited about things. I get really excited about things.
No, I'm
even
not
if
saying
I don't think they're going to be good.
Still get excited about things. There's plenty of things from my childhood that I still love. It's just when I think back on Harry Potter, for instance, which not even my childhood. That's like, I mean, I'm in my 20s at this point, or maybe
grown-ass man.
Yeah,
right?
grown-ass man. But I look at that and I'm like, that was just a moment in my life where something was very, very important to me, and it happened to be over a long period of time, but it ended. And so I didn't realize it at the time how important it was until it was done.
You took it for granted.
I took it for granted, and you know and there's just no going back to that. And I think that's the basis of nostalgia, that it teaches you to really kind of appreciate what you have right now, because 10 years from now you're gonna look back at this room, at this situation, and go, "Fuck, it was a really good time in our lives."
Yeah, it's true, and I think it goes back to the point that some nostalgia is negative, or I think even nostalgia could have always a negative, or usually a negative connotation, in the sense that it's, at least for me, where it's never 100% positive. There is always a little bit of a negative kind of slant to it, in the sense that, man, it was better then than it is now.
See, I wish I could do it.
I wish, but I mean, that's it's not that I always look at something like that, but I think about the house I grew up in on Long Island that we don't own anymore, is big, colonial house with a beautiful in-ground pool and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I wish I just enjoyed it more when I had it. You don't realize what you have until it's not there anymore. And I think so. It's it's positive memories and then it's sad or lukewarm memories, or it makes you a little lethargic and shit sometimes when I think about it, because I really do live in the past in my head. I do. The books I read are in the past. The music I read or the music I listen to is often older and brings me back to a place. I'm addicted to the sports that I grew up, really enjoying and remember those days, those glory days. I'm a huge Islanders fan. The Islanders won 4 Stanley Cups in a row before I was born, but I talk about them as if I was there, but I wasn't, and so there is something about nostalgia that I think is inherently, not for everyone or not in every situation, but there is inherently a negative connotation to it in the sense that it's like, man, those were the days, but isn't today supposed to be the day? That's why I always wonder. It's like everyone's like, no regrets. I live with no regrets. I have no regrets. And I'm like, how is that possible? How is it possible? I have every day I have a regret. I don't think there's a day I go through in my life where I don't have to regret something. And that also there's an element of nostalgia to that too. If you felt like you were living perfectly day to day, you would never think back.
But the strange thing is, you wouldn't give any of it up for the world. Even every single one of those memories that you think you should have lived it more at the time or anything, it's only good because you did exactly what you did.
Yeah. That's what I think.
That's the strange thing about it. It's a very complicated emotion. A friend of mine, in typical college fashion, told me this unsighted, and it's stuck with me whether it's true or not. He said the root of the word means the pain from a past wound.
I think that's true.
And it kind of is, it's.
See, I think I get it. I when I think back and I talk about like, oh, I miss these bugs, I miss these. I miss these.
I was a huge bug enthusiast.
Oh my god!
I was called Bugs growing up because I was cute as a bug's ear.
Were you really?
Yeah. It wasn't until I went to school and had to write my name that I understood Gregory was like
take a
my
note,
real
Nick.
name.
It's just like peeling back an onion. You know what I mean? There's just so many layers to the story.
Fucked up onion ever. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Bugs is the kid.
Bugs is a kid. Yeah.
Bugs.
I don't know how I didn't know that.
How did you not know that?
I don't
We're
know.
100 episodes into the show. That was
didn't know
mentioned
that.
at least 25 of those
On top of
episodes.
how many?
That you were called the bugs?
Yes.
Not
I've
the bugs,
never heard
bugs.
that.
I've never heard that either. I've never heard that either.
Where's the
I'm calling it
bugs?
Hey, it's me.
Not only have we done 100 episodes of this show, Greg and I did like 300 episodes of Podcast Beyond, and I've lived together with him for 5 years. So I feel like I should know that,
Yeah.
but I don't.
think
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, please
I
do.
have to.
I understand what we're saying. I think it's the longing for what was, but I don't think of it I'm with Tim. I don't think of it in a negative way or like when I say like I have no regrets or whatever, I mean like what we're talking. It's the same conversation we're having now, where it's like every choice has gotten me here. That's what I always tell my friends, right, when they'll talk to me about stuff, that I don't regret anything. So getting back in this, I look it up on the iPad.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, I want to know because I do remember the root of nostalgia, the Latin root of it being something negative. I
feel like I might have heard it at the same time as you guys talked about it on a show, because something else I wanted to bring up. You have ridiculously, it's uncanny the timing, the topics you guys talk about, how they would happen in my life.
It's funny that a lot of people say that stuff,
disturbing.
and that's cool. I mean, I think that just shows that we just have conversations that everyone else has.
Yeah.
So it's like when we're having them, someone else is having it too.
Well, what's really interesting is that you told me on Skype you wanted to do nostalgia as your topic, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, what's everybody's topics today? And Colin goes, I'd like to talk about nostalgia. And I was
Yeah,
like,
so you want to talk about
right
uncanny. All right, so the origin, well, the definition is a noun, a sentimental longing or wistful attraction or affection rather for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Something done or presented in order to evoke feelings of nostalgia. The origin is Greek nostos, return home, and Greek algos, pain.
Return home pain.
The German for nostalgia is hemwo, which is homesickness.
Sounds like they should have just named Gone Home Nostalgia then.
And then when nostalgia entered English lexicon from the German in the late 18th century, it meant acute homesickness. So there is a negative connotation that's become positive over time.
Okay.
Interesting.
Just a very interesting emotion.
It is a fascinating emotion. I can relate because I did want to talk about it today, which is so weird. It really does dictate my life, but not always in a positive way. I'm really in my mind. I mean, you guys know me very well. I'm often in my mind, and I do think that the power of nostalgia compelled me at a very early age to love history and to love old things. What?
Yeah. No,
You said that the way you said it, me and Tim nearly jumped to The Exorcist.
Yeah.
The power of
Like
Christ
immediately.
compels you. The power of nostalgia.
I got to so
Thrown.
the house that I grew up in for the first 18 years of my life, which is like 10 blocks that way. Recently we saw was on sale for like $1.2 million, just the top floor. We used to have the whole house.
Yeah.
And I was like, me and my friend was like, holy shit, like we
gotta
need
buy it.
Well, that was option one. We're like, can we buy this? We can't buy this. If you support us on Patreon. Maybe. But
we just need another $100,000
we were
a
really
month.
trying, like we were looking into that. But then it was like, oh, there's an open house. We should go check it out. And it's crazy because I haven't been in that house at this point almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And the outside they repainted. It was blue. It was a beautiful blue. Now it's some like puke green. It's like, guys, what are you doing? But I haven't seen the inside of it.
Yeah.
The inside of it, like, it was never that great. I mean, the space was great, but like the rooms were kind of like shitty and stuff. It was totally renovated. And so it was like the weirdest thing where it's so familiar and so different. Like there was a room that was just gone because they bulldozed down one of the wall to make like the kitchen bigger. But then the kitchen was like gorgeous. And I'm like, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And everything was new, but it still felt so familiar. And the weirdest thing was that it felt so small. Huge house.
Yep.
Fucking giant house. But it felt small because
you were not an adult there.
Yeah. And it was just, that was nuts. But then the craziest thing is it was so renovated and so nice. But then I'd look down and there was still like little scratch marks on the like
That's awesome.
near the ground. And I was like, oh my God, that's from the TV cart that we would bump into the wall that had my fucking Super Nintendo on it on the fucking CRT TV. And it would just keep fucking hitting the thing. And there's marks there. And it's like, no one will ever know that shit.
Yeah.
But I took pictures of all of it. I'm just like, and then I showed, what's crazy is like, it was zoomed in and I showed a couple of my friends. They instantly knew. They're like, oh shit. I'm like,
TV
man,
cart.
Yeah,
this
that's
is crazy.
Well, that's the power of nostalgia because I have the opposite situation where that colonial house that I grew up in, I went back and visited my friend and he knew the guy that lived there and we were at some sort of like block party and he's like, you want to check out the house? And I was like, all right. So I walked in or whatever and they were like ripping down the wallpaper and the carpets up and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to be in here. And I'm like, I can't be in here.
You're killing it.
Because you know to the weird point of this. Well, for what you're talking about, the scratch marks. When we moved out of that house, we all went into the attic and all wrote our names, like, but on the back of beams. So like you wouldn't even know they were there unless you were like in the corner and then faced outward. And I always wondered if like no one's ever seen those.
Yeah. I think I hid a note in our old house in the closet. Same thing.
Yeah, and I used to do that in every dorm room I lived in at Northeastern.
What the note say? I'm still here.
The ghosts will get you.
In every dorm room in
Don't go to
Northeastern,
sleep.
I'd get my chair and write on the top of the door. So like where the door, like the top of it, I would write like my initials and the date or whatever when I was there. And I'm like, no one will ever see this until these doors come down when they renovate this building in 25 years or whatever. But you know, there's just something powerful about the simplicity and nostalgia too. Those same guys that I was mentioning when I went to that person's house, I went and visited them in college. They're brothers and they were good friends of mine when I was growing up. And I haven't been in their house in years, many years. Like I moved in 97. This was 2006. So I hadn't been in their house in like 10 years. And I walked around like everything was the same. I remember talking to his mom and she was like showing me around like everything's the same. The stove's the same. The sink's the same. The fixtures are the same. And then like what did we do? Like we were a little older, so we got fucked up. And then we like played our favorite board game, which is that game Solar Quest that I love. Yeah. And then we went out drunkenly at like 2 a.m. and played wiffle ball that like we used to. And then like we woke up the next morning and went out into the street and played hockey for a little while. So like we're grown ass men.
Yeah.
And it was so simple. And my dad came and like picked me up like he would, you know, back in the day. That, you know, I was home from college and he's like, how was it? And I'm like, it was awesome. We didn't do any, like, he's like, what did you do? I'm like, we played wiffle ball. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, just like the old days and that whiz of the ball and that ball hitting that fence. That same fucking fence that was there when I was in the late 80s, you know, same one.
That's just fucking insane.
Yeah, and I'm like, that. It was one of the most simple yet powerful experiences I had ever had in my life. I will never forget that day.
You talking about the wiffle ball sound reminds me of like from my old house, there's a 7-Eleven that was 2 blocks away, and that was like the walk. Like no matter how old I was, me and my friends were walking up and down the thing, or skateboarding or scootering or whatever. And being on a skateboard or a scooter and going down the hill, like the sounds of the sidewalk, the whatever, it was so specific, and it's only to that 2 blocks. And when I hear that, I'm like, I know that it's that 2 blocks. Yeah. And that's really fucking crazy. The dumb little things, or like when you just looked at this house, it was totally renovated, but some of the doorknobs were the same doorknobs they used to be. Who the fuck cares? Like, no one should care about that. That shouldn't be something that makes anyone go, oh shit. But my friend looked at it and goes, dude, it's the same doorknobs. And like, I got super excited. And it's like, why? And I looked at it, I'm like, man, like I remember those doorknobs. But it's like, if you would ask me now, fucking doorknobs, I don't know. But
everything meant
10,
so much,
years,
right? You spent so much time there. It all meant so much. Yeah, in 10, 15 years, we could, but we're not going to remember those doorknobs.
But that's what I'm saying is maybe we will. Because
it's one of those things where we'll remember the lock I broke, right? When I had cancer and got all mad and slammed the door and broke the lock.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. You'll never let me live down any of my mistakes.
No, never.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Be better.
The avocados were mine. The avocados were mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
They were. You're fucking counting your avocados
Grandma
on the
Georgina
clock.
in the fucking bedroom
do we
comes
need to
out.
leave so you guys can work this out?
No, we do this publicly. Don't worry.
Okay.
Everyone knows he's wrong.
Can I not be in the crossfire.
No, you got it. You're the guest. You have to be the buffer.
Gotta roll through it.
We'll talk
I've
later.
been through some
Yeah, we
crazy
will.
shit, but
I'm looking forward to being nostalgic
not a
about this
couple
later.
squabbles.
I hope you
Do
throw
we
out some
need to
more of
get
my
you
turkey.
two stickers?
That did happen.
Stickers.
to
No.
put on the things.
Well, the avocados, maybe that's the avocado.
Maybe we
feature.
just get little G's and little C's, and you guys can put little stickers on your stuff. And
Or
Colin
just
would
put
love
them in
that.
different bowls.
You're thinking about it now, aren't you?
I wouldn't want that at all. I just want Greg to remember that I bought 2 avocados and he ate them.
This is one of those rare instances that I know everyone in the room, and you'll know by the end of the day, but everyone in the room knows when Colin is wrong, but he won't admit that he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrong about the 2 avocados. We only bought 2 and we hadn't eaten them yet. We'd gone shopping 2 days before. Grandma Georgina did not eat any. The turkey was my mistake, and I apologize for it.
But let's end it on this note.
Be good.
Let's end it on this note. Be better.
Be
But
better.
let's end it. Let's end it on a better note. None of you can ever say that you obsessed over a half-empty bottle of White Rain shampoo from 1987 in your girlfriend's bathroom in 2005, in your girlfriend's grandma's spare bathroom in 2005. So just know the power of nostalgia goes far deeper than you might even expect.
The real conundrum of this whole topic has been that we've all said that you look back 10 years, you're like, oh, those were the days. I wish I'd give it all up for one more day. Which means even now we need to live that way, because in 10 years we'll look back and listen. We're all mad at Kevin about something, doing something dumb.
But the thing is,
I got this guy not able to count out fucking avocados, and I want to kill him. I should stop wanting to feel those emotions, but he brings them out in me. We should just let it go.
but
that's the fun of it.
But that's the point too, and that's the power of nostalgia to me, is that I've never gone through my life in the moment and been like, I'm not living right, because I don't think that I've not gone an extended period of time not living right. Sure, you're a little depressed sometimes. Sure, you should have gone to that party instead of staying home, whatever. But generally, it's really all facade. That's the point. And I think that's why nostalgia is an inherently negative thing sometimes, because it's just like everything was always better and it wasn't. And if we can go back to those days and live a week when you were a little, what was it, bugs? You might be like, this sucks.
Cute as a bub's ear. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh
Actually, I
no!
feel
Let's
like-
not fucking act like cute as a bug's ear makes so much.
if I was
we
a
already
Googling
went
on
down
the
this
iPad-
path.
I have to jump in and defend him. That is a thing. I've heard that one.
No, just this is like Colin's bullshit with the fucking Halloween Eve. Just because
Yo, it's
2
a real
people are
thing.
wrong doesn't mean.
Hey, but we're in different regions of the country, so that counts.
Yeah. And so I've
Chicago,
heard that.
North
I've heard that
Carolina.
one.
So
the
shut up.
Halloween thing.
No, that's just an excuse to go throw things at.
Yeah, okay. That's
You know
fair
what?
enough.
I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Yeah, no, that's good.
My mom and my aunt are watching. No, I didn't do it. You
didn't
can't
do it.
prove it.
Alex didn't do anything, Mom. Don't worry
And-
about her aunt.
You'll never find the fireworks.
Nice. That was a great topic.
Thank you.
You're a natural at this.
That's
do
a
you
word for
do
it.
you podcast a lot?
No.
Okay. You
No.
should. You should think about it.
One of my friends is moving to Austin. We'll see what happens.
There you go. Done. That's it. Also, there's these guys at Rooster Teeth. They always do podcasts. You should
Yeah.
go over there and ask if you can podcast them.
I don't
Just
know.
knock on the door. They'll love that.
I don't know. I've never really heard of them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nah, if
Yeah.
they're
Weird.
watching, nobody's.
they're not that big.
Of course, that topic was brought to you by Alex.
Mm.
But I do need to shove in a plug here, as always. We'll say it's also brought to you by kindafunny.com/store. If you're listening to this on the Friday the full episode goes live, or the Monday, or the Tuesday beforehand, it's T-shirt Tuesday, November 3rd. Brand new T-shirt up. Do we know what it is? Can you tell what it is?
We have an inkling, but we're not allowed to. I'm not at liberty to say just yet.
Good. Well, there's a T-shirt Tuesday with an exclusive shirt. Then, if it's after Tuesday, just go to kindafunny.com/store. See what we have up. We have cups and stickers and
Just
shirts.
the PS I Love You shirts shipped.
I did, yeah.
People started
And the
getting those.
garbage
They
truck
look
on
great.
fire. People are
Yeah.
super stoked on them.
Really
Speaking
excited
of the
about
garbage truck on fire, we
Yeah.
need that as a Twitch emote.
Oh, that's easy.
that. Oh, we can make that happen.
Sure.
I need to be able to use that.
Okay, that's a good point. Send it to me and I'll get it broken up.
I will.
I
Tim.
also would like it as an emoji.
just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, emojis need to step the game up. They did recently, but
That's how I feel about many of my conversations with my friends.
yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, see
I'm
if you like.
louder than that.
Kevin, see if you see how I sound like this. Put the headphones on. It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you.
It's a different song.
And when we are apart, I feel it too.
'Cause no matter what, Kevin, he feels.
Say